for your weekly dose of pop culture
with Kathy and Kenny. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. It is Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture. I'm your co-host, Kathy, and I am not flying solo. Kenny is performing tonight, so he's unable to be here, but that's okay because we have our number one pop culture kid here with us in the house tonight, none other than the Ed Brown.
How you doing?
Hey, Ed, thank you so much for being willing to hang out tonight with me because, Kenny bailed on me.
Not a problem. Kenny asked me earlier in the week. Doesn't have to ask me twice. I'm here.
Okay, awesome. And we didn't really have a topic for tonight, and we just figured, hey, we come to Ed because he is everything 80s. And if you check out his Facebook page and give me the right name so I don't get it messed up.
I think it's Ed's 80s page of the music.
Okay,
It's
Ed's
sad that I
80s
don't even know the name of my own page. At least I don't think so. I think that's it. Ed's 80s page of the music.
But I know it comes up in my feed, and every once in a while, it just takes me back. And I'm just like, whoa, I didn't even realize the 80s were 40 years ago.
Yeah, and that's the idea behind it. That's why I created it. It was more because I don't really consider myself super knowledgeable on 80s music, but people put videos on there or post different memes, things like that, and it just brings me back. I remember the song, I remember the artist once I hear it, and to me, that's what it's about. Just the familiarity with all the music and listening to it, and then buying it from my phone so I can listen to it later on.
Oh, because there were so many, and again, some of them were just like maybe one-hit wonders,
Oh, for
but
sure. Yeah,
just like some great hits
yeah,
of the 80s. And I guess because during the 80s, also that was the birth of like MTV.
yep,
So like the music video. And even though there had been music videos, basically Elvis Presley's career was a big music video with all the movies
yeah,
he made
for
in
sure.
the past. But it was just something about that art form in the 80s that launched like VJs. Like who knew what a VJ was before?
Yeah,
You
right.
know, MTV. And what was it? Video Killed the Radio Star
Which was the
by
first song, yeah,
it was the
by
first
the Buggles,
video.
but
The
not too many people know the second song.
what was the second song?
It was, "You Better Run" by Pat Benatar.
Oh, wow. That
Yeah.
that is good.
Yeah, how about that, right?
Well, I know in the early days, they probably only had like 10 videos that they played in like
Yeah, I think they had, like, a revolving
rotation.
loop that just, kinda went around and around,
In the
syncing.
early VJs, like I remember when they towards the late 80s and the 90s when they went on the search for new VJs, but when they first started, it was like Nina Blackwood, Martha Quinn, JJ, was it JJ Jackson?
Oh,
Um,
yeah, right.
uh, yeah, and
Martha Quinn,
Mark
did you say her?
Martha Quinn, Nina
Yep,
Blackwood,
yep.
um, oh god, I can see the guy just as clear as day. Mark
Adam
Goodman. A
Adam Copeland?
a
No, he was with
no,
the
that
Police.
that was that was a guitar player in the Police.
Yeah, he was with the
Uh,
Police.
but the
Adam something,
original
I think.
VJs, Adam, not good. No, it was Mark Goodman.
Mark
Um,
Goodman, yep.
Adam something. Lord, Adam Hunter.
Who was it?
Alan
Alan
Hunter.
Hunter, that's it. Alan Hunter.
Alan Hunter. It's like, oh man, I should know those original VJs. That's like
Right,
an easy one
right, you would think.
for
But like
for
you
for
said,
the
it was
80s.
over 40 years ago.
Yeah, 40 years ago. That's
It's a
like
long
a
time
long
ago.
time. And I think most of them are appearing on I think Sirius XM's 80s channel. You can hear most. I don't think Martha Quinn is on there, but I know Mark Goodman, Nina Blackwood, and Alan Hunter. Alan Hunter.
Okay.
They do and then, oh, the guy who used to do the news, like MTV had their own Kurt Loder.
Kurt Loder?
Was it
Yes.
Kurt Loder who used
Mhm.
to do the news segments?
Yes.
I remember him.
Yes. See?
Him as well.
I
That
haven't
was
thought of that name in years.
right, the
Kurt Loder.
really old days of MTV going back. So, again, I guess we could I don't know where we could start, whether it's with music, TV,
I
movies, because there were so many iconic, there you go, they're the original
there they are,
VJs.
yeah.
Alan Hunter, that's what I couldn't think of,
Alan
that
Hunter,
guy.
yes.
And I don't know, I guess, did JJ Jackson pass? I think he might have passed away, but the
I
others,
don't
I
know if he's
think, are
with us
still
anymore.
living. I don't know, 'cause see, usually during the show, if we don't know a question, Ed is the person who will
Yeah,
Google
I
it
can kinda look it up.
and answer.
It's pretty easy, but, not tonight.
With JJ Jackson. No, it looks like he did
Mhm.
die in 2004
Wow.
at the age of 62.
Ooh, that's young.
So yeah, he passed away, but the other VJs I think are on the Sirius XM 80's channel, except I don't hear Martha Quinn as much anymore. I do hear the other ones when they do their countdowns and different things.
And I'll tell you what, there's a really good channel. They have, MTV Classic, so they play videos from, like, decades, 80's, 90's. I think they have, like, the Metal Hour, things like that. I'm trying to get into a habit of watching that again just to watch the videos. I mean, remember
Oh,
VH1 when they showed videos too?
oh, I know.
Mhm.
It's like nowadays it's, just bombarded with reality television. I'm like, "Wait,
Yeah,
this isn't what it's music video channel,
yeah.
like,
Well, what happened?
music television, what happened to the
Music television.
music?"
That's exactly right.
And
Not
they do
anymore.
all these reality shows, although I blame MTV for the just surge of reality
Yeah.
shows because the real world,
Yep.
if you if you really wanna go back, was kinda like the grandfather of them all, and
Yeah.
I was in there, I was sucked in just like
I
everybody else,
watched a few seasons. I'm not gonna lie. Absolutely.
and I think well, they lost me, I guess after Pedro, the season, uh, with, Pedro, and then I just
And
kinda
he was with Puck, right? Like, didn't they
Puck,
always butt
right,
heads?
because they
Yeah.
used to butt heads and
Uh-huh.
but I remember the original one and, oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody being in that house and the whole idea of living in a house with 8 strangers, but,
Good idea, I mean,
yeah,
give 'em
yeah,
credit for being a
but again, just what it who knew we'd wind up with, like, all these, like, talent reality shows, Big Brother, Real Housewives,
Yeah.
uh, 30 Day
Survivor.
Fiancé or 90 Day Fiancé, like, it's just, you know
Do you watch any reality TV now?
you know what? I do not. I'm almost, like, anti-cable now. I've, kind of been hooked on streaming, so
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of, like, I just caught up on I missed the last 2 episodes, so I just caught up on the last 2 episodes of Ted Lasso, and I've also found this other new show called, Shrinking with, uh, Jason Segel
Oh,
from, How I Met Your Mother,
uh-huh.
and, who
Suits.
else is in it? Harrison Ford, and
Oh,
it is just oddly funny, and Krista Miller, who I know she's done other things, and I don't think I've caught her other television work, but I'm just loving her in this
yeah.
season, in this show, along with, who was the guy who was on the Love Boat? The good-looking guy who kinda came
Oh,
in late.
Roger from,
No,
Married with Children.
Ted
Ted
McKinley?
McKinley, yeah.
Ed McKinley, yes.
Yeah,
If you got a show and it's struggling, you just in the
yeah.
'80s, you brought in Ted McKinley.
Love Boat, Married with Children. I mean, For Those in
And
the
he's
Dirt.
on that show too, Shrinking, and I've just been really loving that show
Yeah.
and enjoying it.
Yeah, he was really
Um,
good on Married with Children. So yeah.
oh, hey, okay, nerd affiliated. Oh, I love watching the nerds or blurs and geeking out. Headbangers Ball. Oh yes,
Headbangers Ball. That's it.
that was
Yep.
a MTV staple.
Hmm.
And it only came on, I think, late nights on, like, Fridays and Saturday nights or something like
Yeah,
that.
and MTV used to show, like, yeah, they were still showing videos, but like I remember on Sunday nights they were showing Beavis and Butthead, and these were
Yes!
late. And there was a
Yes!
cartoon called like Aeon Flux or something like that right after. I think it was from like 11 to midnight that they showed them, and that was it.
Yes, before Cartoon Network
Hmm.
had Adult Swim, it
Yep.
was those late night,
Yeah.
shows and comics on MTV that really, yeah, hit it home. And, of course, you always had your local, um, video shows because I remember the one that came on Friday nights locally in the Philadelphia area.
Was that
Uh,
no Friday Night Videos? Wasn't that
Friday
like a
night
nationwide one?
was that maybe it was national. Okay, it might have been.
I have an old videotape where I taped one of those episodes, and it was Michael J. Fox and Justine Bateman that hosted the hour or hour and a half, however long it went.
Oh
Great
my
stuff.
gosh.
I
Family
just gotta find it. Yeah.
You know what? I have a ton, and I can say this because I'm moving into
Mhm.
my actual first home in at the end of the month. So I have to get all my stuff together. And I literally have boxes that I had back in New York because I used
Mhm.
to, you know, videotape, VHS tapes all over the place. I
Yep.
don't even think I own a VHS player anymore.
Mhm.
So I'm like, what do I do with these tapes? A part of me, I want to convert them
Yeah.
and keep them because here's what I have on VHS tape if I can find it. It's somewhere,
Okay.
but I don't want to just toss it. I sat and used about 5 or 6 tapes and taped all of Live Aid.
Wow.
If we're
Very
going
cool.
back to the '80s, even
Very
though
cool.
I have all of Live Aid somewhere in a box on a
With the
VHS
commercials?
with commercials and all,
Oh,
'cause
man.
'cause, well, and because I was always bad at trying to, like, stop it, pause it, and
Yep.
not get the commercials. I
Yep.
think I just let the tapes run, and then when it emptied out and I did it on the long form version because you used to be able to tape either the higher quality, only 2 hours or 4 hours or 8 hours. I think I
Yeah.
let them run for, like, 8 hours
It was
so that I
SP
could tape.
mode, LP mode, SLP mode. They
Yeah,
all
yeah,
different
there you
modes.
go, SLP mode. That's it, that's it. Oh, hey, Archer in the house driving home. Be careful. Why are you texting in a car?
Yeah.
Daria.
Aria. Yeah.
Yes.
Another
Oh,
one.
now we are going back. Daria. I remember that cartoon. Neon Flux. Neon.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
That's yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
what you were thinking of.
Yep.
And Audrey's in the house. Hey, Audrey. She won't dance with me was song number 3. That was the 3rd song
What
ever
was
played on
what's the
MTV?
artist?
Oh, I don't know who that artist
She
is.
won't
You have to
dance
tell us
with me.
who that artist is
Yeah.
um, for the first songs, the earliest songs on MTV. That is going back. Uh, and And again, for the '80s, well, everybody knows the video killed the, radio star, the Bungles was, like, the first thing they played, but man,
Rod
oh,
Stewart.
you better run. Oh, Rod Stewart, okay, oh, here is a list of the first music videos that aired on and I remember the, Young Hearts, uh
Oh,
Young
yeah.
Turks. Young Turks is the name of the
Yep.
song, but again, you got those images from MTV that just kinda
Mhm.
just stayed with you, Jack and Diane,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
just some of the video imagery of the, oh gosh, I'm seeing the flower pots turned upside down. I know it's Devo, and I can't even think of the song right
Whip
now.
it.
Whip it. That's right. Whip it good.
Mhm. Yeah.
but yeah, and granted, it's like it's not that I don't like the, um, the programming and stuff on MTV, but I just don't watch it anymore. It's just hard to be drawn
Uh,
in
yeah.
by it when, you remember the days of, like, and I guess you need to have that classic, and I think I do have access to it on DirecTV,
Okay.
the classic, videos to see, like, the videos from back in the day, because
Yeah.
the '80s were, like, the heyday of, like, the hair band and, half naked girls, like, on cars, and that's
Yeah.
just, like, the theme of every, like, Whitesnake video.
Hmm.
And I know the kids nowadays, they got their trap music and they love their, like, Beyonce and boy bands and all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you that '80s, I don't know, there was just a sweet spot about the music
Yeah.
because I think it, even if you grew up with one style or type of music, when it came to the '80s, it seems like things started to kind of like merge and converge. So like I kind of grew up on R&B, but yet, you know, through the '80s, I got exposed to like that uh kinda English rock kinda
Yeah.
influence, with, with everything from, like, Boomtown Rats to Duran Duran to, just exposure to a
Yeah.
lot of different music, I think, or a lot of different stuff. Joe Jackson,
Joe Jackson.
"Steppin' Out," you know?
Oh, that's one of my favorites. It really is.
So, oh, yeah, it's just and it seems like you could I don't know, it was a time where, yeah, looks, I guess, did matter, but there was something to the quality of the music. I don't know, it just seemed it it's a time I don't think we'll ever I don't know whether people will look back in 40 years at, like, the number 1 songs of this period in time with the same kind of, I don't know, nostalgia or reverence.
Do the number one songs currently stay on the charts as long as they did back in the 80s? I mean, Michael Jackson would be on the charts for a year or two. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like,
yeah.
really,
They were
there's
just yeah,
always
like, yeah,
something.
uh, and that's another scary thing to think about if you look at, like, even for, like, the top of the charts of 1983, which is
Hmm.
40 years ago from 2003, and, you know, all those artists, whether it's George Michael, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, it's like,
Yeah,
Prince, they're gone,
they're
and
gone.
that's just, to
Still,
me, just kinda hard to believe because at the time they seemed so young and youthful, and it's only 40 years ago, and I'm like,
right?
"Oh my gosh."
We're still around. You know, why
Exactly.
aren't they?
We're still here, and, and that's why when I first heard that news, like, even the week when Irene Cara died, I was like, "Oh my,"
Hmm.
more of
Yeah,
my '80s folks are going, somebody better, find Madonna and put her in some bubble wrap, make sure she's okay because it's
well,
all pretty sad.
she's touring again. She's got
Madonna's touring again? I know
yeah, she's coming to
Janet
Philly.
Jackson's about to go out again because she's gonna be in Charlotte next month,
She's
but
coming around here too, very
oh,
soon.
wow.
In the next few months, I think Janet Jackson. Madonna, I think, is in December at the Wells Fargo Center. A friend of mine, she got tickets for it a couple weeks ago. I mean, she was really excited, so I was happy for her.
One by
Ooh,
Metallica also what were Metallica more the '90s or were they the '80s?
I think they're. I don't know if it was their Black album, but I think that was like '89, like with
Oh,
Enter
really?
Sandman and
Because they were
Sad
just
But
on the
True.
Howard Stern show, was it Wednesday? One day this week, they were on the Howard Stern show, and it's hard to believe that they were around that long, but, oh my goodness.
Hmm.
That
Yeah, a long time.
wow. Now I am feeling old. I'm
Yeah.
feeling now I am really feeling old. I don't know. I think I need a new, power cord for my computer because
Mhm.
before I logged on, my computer, uh, went out twice. I'm just saying that to preface. So if something weird happens,
Okay.
it's probably because my computer lost connection with the power. So I'm trying not to touch my desk or anything because I don't want to blow anything up.
Understood. Yeah, only thing I have to do is look into a camera. I mean, it's a piece of cake. You're controlling the whole board.
So okay. So yeah,
Right.
Metallica did it made metal turn pop for a hot minute. So
Yeah.
that's definitely true. And it was their first music video. And I can't even remember what that video looked like. I had to pull it up
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
to I can hear the song in my head, but like I said again,
Right.
'cause I'm always and actually, I know I did love the Unplugged series at
Mhm.
MTV, or was
Right.
that what was it? That was a VH1 thing, the where artists would play unplugged.
It
Was
was all
that
acoustic, I think. Yeah.
yeah, that
That was
that
great
was
stuff.
always fun, and I think they had a Friday night show or a was that the I'm thinking of the Carson Daly Show, and I could be blurring it between MTV and VH1 because I am that old.
Didn't Carson Daly like do a top 5 or something like that at 5 or
Yeah, I thought it was like a yeah, like a top 5 at 5 show.
he came on like from 4 to 5 and like he would have guests, some musical guests come in.
Right, yeah, that was VH1, okay.
VH1, yeah.
Hey, Archer, he's 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 getting me on the correct path. But I know for me in the '80s, probably the highlight of my '80s experience was going to a concert, and I don't know the venue, but I know it was in Philly and it was outdoors, where I saw at least 3 acts, and the opening act was Shaka Khan, along with Katrina and the Waves, and the headliners were Wham! So
That that is a star-studded concert. I would have proud to have gone been proud to have gone to that one.
that was like a '80s just, 80s sandwich, and again,
Doesn't
my
get better
dream
than that for me.
concert and was I think Duran Duran, and I'm not sure if yeah, I did see them in the '80s. I think I saw them twice. That's how that's
They
how devoted a fan I was,
they
'cause
just played in Atlantic City, this past December, and they're coming to Philly in September.
oh,
That was my
wow. I think they're pared down too, aren't they? It's down to just 3 of them now?
it's 4 of them now.
Oh,
Their
4.
guitarist, their original guitarist, Andy Taylor, has some type of cancer, stage 4. So he's actually going into the studio with them to produce a couple songs, do a couple songs with them. But I don't think he's like going to tour, do any like make any special appearances or anything like that. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
So 'cause, and Andy Taylor, he was one of the members didn't he, veer off to be a part of Power Station?
I think he was part of Power Station.
And I know it was Nile Rodgers
Oh, Nile
and,
Rodgers. Oh,
um, who did the vocals?
it
I
was Robert Palmer.
Robert Palmer did the
Yeah,
vocals for Some Like It Hot.
yeah,
Some Like It Hot.
yeah.
Oh,
Get it
man,
on,
see,
bang it
and
gong.
that was again, oh,
Sep-
Bang a Gong, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, when Duran Duran comes in September, opening up for them is going to be Nile Rodgers with Chic.
Oh, wow.
Double wow! 'Cause I saw
That's
them
hitting the
open up for them
'70s.
about 8 years ago, and they were awesome, awesome. I mean, Nile Rodgers has influenced so many musicians along the way. Duran Duran, Bowie, and like he played a lot of that, a lot of the songs that he helped contribute to with Bowie and Duran Duran. Well, Duran Duran, of course, but Chic playing La Freak and
Le Freak.
some of their other stuff that you forget that they had. So, man, it was just such a great con. Such a great.
Everybody Dance. Good times, these are the good ti oh,
Yeah,
man, they
right.
they're all over the place, and
Yeah,
besides but N and Nile Rodgers, just, like, as a producer was amazing too, some of the
yeah,
things that he,
yeah.
put out there or was a part of was
Huge
spectacular.
80s influence,
Yeah.
Nile Rodgers in my book. So
And like I said, I think that's when the music did merge a lot. Just the fact that, like, it's well known that, um, Prince wrote the musical part for Stevie Nicks' "Stand Back,"
Yeah.
and who would think, these 2 collaborating, but, there
Who
you
didn't
had
he
it.
collaborate with, though? I mean, think
Oh,
about it. Sheena
oh, yeah,
Easton
he
Wright,
did.
Sheila E.
I think
Uh,
Michael Jackson was the only one he didn't collaborate
right,
with
right.
because he didn't wanna sing bad. He didn't wanna sing "Your Butt Is Mine." He just wasn't comfortable with those lyrics. But,
Mm,
oh, yeah,
mm.
Sheila E., The Glamorous Life.
Oh my goodness. And
Now
she
that
had a Bizarre Love or something like that.
Oh, A Love Bizarre,
Love
that's
Bizarre,
beyond
yeah,
and I believe that was also featured in Crush Groove, which is the movie she starred in, and I think she sang it in the movie, only, the record had Prince on it, but not, in the movie, as she played a singer, of course.
did she do A Glamorous Life in Purple Rain?
No,
No?
it was not in Purple Rain.
Okay.
Although there was a song on her album, I don't know whether it was the first album or the second album, but I listened to it and I'm like, "Where do I know that song?" And it was actually an instrumental track from 1999, which was a double album, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, I have that on
Um,
cassette. So
not 1990, was it 1999? Not no, yeah, Purple Rain is the one everybody knows, but 1999 was before Purple Rain,
right.
and I believe that was a double album, but there was an instrumental on that album, and it looks like he turned it into a song, and it was on one of Sheila E.'s either the first album or the second album, which again, produced by Prince, who also produced The Family and The Time.
All the time. I love Morris
Yes.
Day. Love him. He was so good in Purple Rain. He really
And
was.
and another thing about I think especially the music of the '80s, like the start or the birth of rap, which I really enjoyed when it was fun before it got, before we had to have these like East Coast, West Coast battles and it
Right.
got so, you know, violent and misogynistic. It used to be fun, like with the Fat Boys and
Grandmaster Mel.
Grandmaster The Message, it's like a jungle sometimes, it makes you and that was a deep song, but still,
It's
what
great.
was the first one? Oh, the Sugar Hill Gang, and that,
There's
the
Apache.
founder of Sugar Hill Records,
Yeah.
Robinson, she recently passed away, that was in the news, I think, either last week or the week before,
Mhm.
I wanna say not Sheila Robinson, but I can't remember her name, but it'll come to me, but, um, but yeah, there was a funness to rap, 'cause I think
Yeah.
there was there a Fat Boys movie? I'm pretty sure there was, 'cause I sat through it.
I think there was, but I can't say that I saw it, so you have to take a pop culture
Yeah,
card away.
I think they were, you lose your pop culture art.
Yeah.
Um, they were, I guess, aiming to be like a modern day Three Stooges type of thing, but I remember seeing them in a movie,
Mhm.
going to watch the Fat Boys and Biz Markie, and I don't know, it's just it was a different time. And
Yeah.
actually that movie Crush Groove, I think, featured a lot of different rappers, because LL Cool J was in there, and I
Oh,
guess that might have marked the start of his, like, acting career.
what about Tone Loc? Was he considered a rocker?
Um, oh, the Wild Thing. Oh, that's right, Tone Loc.
Tone Loc. He had another one. It was Wild Thing, and he had one other like big
Big hit.
popular song. What was it?
Um, I can't think.
Oh,
I know Wild Thing, Funky Cole Medina?
Funky Cole Medina. That's it. Yep.
Funky Cole Medina.
He had such a distinctive
See,
voice.
when you're trying to scratch your brain for, like, stuff that goes back 40 years,
Yep.
it's hard.
It
It
is.
is hard.
It is.
Uh, hey, Kenny, I guess I know he had a show to do, but I guess he is peeling away, just, you know, checking out the scene.
Funky
Funk
Cold
yes,
Medina.
Funky Cold
That's right,
Medina,
Cold
that's what we can
Yeah,
think of by Tone Loc.
yeah, loved it. Yeah. He was in I think he was a police officer in the, Ace Ventura movie too, I think.
Ah,
Yeah, I
you
think he was
you
real
know
good in
what?
that.
And I'm gonna get my pop culture card revoked because I don't think I've ever seen Ace Ventura.
It was pretty
At the t
good. I didn't think I'd like it, but I did. And I
you
haven't
know,
seen it in 30 years, so, you know.
because I can only take so much Jim Carrey,
Yeah,
but
me too.
and I actually wind up I like him more when he's playing it, I guess, in more serious roles.
Yeah,
But
I get what
sometimes when he's Jim Carrey, it's just
he
like,
did
what was
a
it?
movie.
Liar Liar? And
Yeah.
during the outtakes at the end of the movie, they showed outtakes, and I think Swoozie Kurtz was like, she was just calling him on his, like, overacting or hamming and stuff. But yeah, but although Cable Guy, now that I did see, and again, you know, you gotta love the dark comedy, so
Yeah,
or you
Matthew
don't have
Broderick,
to, but
right?
I do.
Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. I went to the movies today and saw I guess it was kind of a dark comedy. It was, Renfield with,
Oh.
Nicolas Cage
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
and Nicholas Hoult, I believe, and, it was Nicolas Cage, modern day Dracula, and comedy, but dark, violent, gory. Um, if you have a chance, I would recommend going to see it. Very good theater
Oh,
film.
wow. And Nicholas Hoult, who I had seen him in another movie, a zombie movie, I can't
Warm
remember.
Bodies.
Warm Bodies,
Yeah, that was really
and
good.
I had to look twice, because he was actually the kid from, uh, About a Boy with, Hugh Grant.
Oh,
Have have you ever seen that movie?
no,
Oh,
no.
it's really a good, cute little movie, but when he was a kid, he was in that movie, and, it's kinda like um, kinda like, Jerry O'Connell from, Stand By Me, like,
Yes.
as a kid, he's this chubby
Yep.
kid, but he grows up to be this, really and that's the same thing with Nicholas Hoult, because when you see him in that About a Boy movie, you're like, "Oh, pudgy little character."
So he was a
Okay.
chubby
Oh,
little
so
kid.
Kenny oh my gosh, I forgot Kenny was listening,
Oh,
because now he's gonna call me on the I've never seen Ace Ventura.
oh,
No, I have
fair is
not.
fair.
I mean
Fair
I
is
mean, I've
fair.
seen The Truman Show and Cable Guy. I have my Jim Carrey, street cred, but, but again, he is calling for my pop culture card. Shame on him. Uh, oh, yes, Nicholas Hoult, he was also the Beast in the X-Men
Oh,
movies. That's right. Well, it's kinda hard to tell too, because if with all that blue, um, fur on,
now Kenny,
it's
since
bigger
Kenny
than everybody.
is making an appearance now and he's listening, I don't know if he could see anything, but we
Mm.
have to get the reference in at least. And if we kinda look at the screen right now behind me,
So we are gonna get that copyright strike.
there's no audio,
There's
so
no audio. Okay,
so
just
you
a
should be
video.
okay, but, I'm not saying a word,
We're
but,
not saying that, but for those who are listening, of course, we don't have a show go by without the obligatory Die Hard reference. So, Kenny, if you're watching, hopefully you got to see that. And again, it's not a Christmas movie, but we will move on
I
because I
think you
know I
admitted
always
that it
lose.
was a Christmas movie this last December, so
Well, okay. I
mhm.
just I weakened. I did
You go
weaken.
back.
Speaking of movies, one of the preeminent movies of the 80's,
Nice.
um, and I grabbed
No.
this picture because it had such clear examples of 80's hair. It was a
Oh my
big hair
goodness, yeah.
time, and that is still Magnolias. Although at the other spectrum of 80's movies, but
Heathers.
still 80's hair, 80's hair
Heathers.
lives.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Heathers, and that is a 80's classic.
Mhm.
Now, those movies I have seen.
Now,
And they're not chick flicks because Heather's was actually pretty dark.
I just kind of like went into my collection and just kind of like pulled some things off. So I don't know if the
Okay.
camera will pick these up, but here's it.
Ah,
I get like I put everything in alphabetical order. So I
big.
just I just went to B and I pulled out four like that were right all in a row. So we've got Big by Tom Hanks,
That was big in the 80s.
Beverly Hills Cop, which is not only a really good funny film but a great soundtrack.
Awesome soundtrack. Yes.
Better Off Dead.
Oh, Better Off Dead. Better Off Dead is one of my favorites.
What a shame to be throwing out a
Everybody wants
perfectly good
some.
white boy.
Oh, that movie had some of the best lines. French toast, French fries.
Yeah, right? And Rodney Dangerfield's Back to School.
Oh, back to
This is just the
school.
bees. And I stopped
And
because
that
The
was just
Breakfast
the
Club was
bees.
there.
You didn't get Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. I mean, I have all of them over there. I'm like, I could have just took a whole bunch of bees out and been done.
Wow.
So yeah, and I thought that was kind of. Then I said, let me go and see what kind of uh,
Now, are
TV
they
shows
they're
I
in
have.
alphabetical you have them in alphabetical order,
I
but not
do.
in date order,
No, not in date order, in alphabetical order. So
but they're all from the
in case
80s.
somebody else wants to find something, it's easier for them to find it
Okay.
that way. So I found and these are, for as far as TV series, classics for me is
Ah,
Married with
Married with
Children.
Children.
You never
Yes,
go wrong with that.
Bundy.
Facts of Life.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a show here that really took a lot of serious topics, surprisingly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Different Strokes.
Different Strokes.
That's the cautionary tale for any child actor. That's just
Here is one that I think is so good, but and you don't really see it in reruns. Doogie Howser.
Doogie. Now, you know what? I'm gonna lose my pop culture card again.
Oh no, don't say it.
I never watched Doogie Howser.
And I have
And
one
I'm
more
the
here that I don't think
biggest
people are going to
NHP
remember.
fan.
This was only
NPH
one
fan.
season, and it starred Sarah Jessica Parker. Jamie Gertz was in it.
Oh, Jamie
Cynthia
Gertz.
Nelson.
She was big in the 80s.
Square Pegs.
Square Pegs. Yes. Now that I've seen.
Yeah. Well, it was only for one season. I think it's maybe 8 or 10 episodes. But, great. It was, good stuff again. It's
Oh,
oh
that
boy,
that
I
was
miss all this
that
stuff.
was some great stuff. Oh, it's only one season, but
Right.
yeah.
It was one
Sarah
season.
Jessica
That's it.
Parker, Jamie Gertz. Oh,
Jamie
wow.
Gertz was in it, and I mean, it was so lame. And I haven't watched it. It still has the protective wrap around it. So, and I've probably had this for 10 years. So I need to give it a watch. I need to go through all this stuff because, as we were saying earlier, there's just nothing to watch on TV anymore except for on
Oh, I
streaming
know.
services. Why not go back and watch some old
I
TV?
wonder if that's available on any of the streaming services.
They probably are. I would think, or one of them at least. They would have.
Yeah, I think you can, oh, it looks like you can watch it on Crackle, and I
Okay, Crackle.
think
Okay.
yeah, it is available on Crackle to go and watch, but Square Pigs, that
Square
is
Pegs.
that
And
is a classic.
do you remember the
Tracy
song?
Nelson was in that
Tracy
too. Wow,
Nelson. Yes,
Tracy Nelson.
I love Tracy Nelson. I did. Whatever happened to Tracy Nelson?
I know. That was she was related to the Nelsons or
I think she was
that was
Ricky
one of
Nelson's
Ricky
son,
Nelson's, uh,
daughter, not son. His daughter.
well, because he had the twins too, because they had a hit in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Like the
Yeah,
Nelson twins, I don't know what they were
I can't give
called,
you
but
much info on that.
I remember the, like, platinum blonde, like, they had the metal hair, but I don't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
But,
I,
yeah,
I,
I don't know
I
what
kind of
happened to
remember it vaguely. So yeah,
Tracy Nelson. Haven't seen her in anything of
you know,
late. I wonder, you know,
wonder if she's still with us.
it
You never
yeah,
know.
I well, they don't have, They just have born October 25th, 1963. So
Oh, she's still here.
yeah, so
63, so
she's
she's what, 59, 60 in that area?
yeah, still around,
Yeah,
still
good
around.
for her. Glad to
So
hear it. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Hunter and Gunter or something like that. There was something about yeah, I remember that the Nelson boys and I think it was kind of a hit. Now, oh, you know who we didn't mention from the 80s was Rick Springfield. I used to love
Yeah,
me some Rick Springfield too.
absolutely. I'll still put a couple I'll put a CD on. I think I have his, like, his greatest hits. So I'll throw that on once in a while, and it's good stuff. Rick
More than words. What oh, okay, wait, I missed Kenny's comment. More than words? What was that?
Well, there was a group called Extreme, I think they did
Extreme
More
had a
Than
hit
Words.
called More Than Words. I don't
Yeah,
think that was the Nelson twins, but,
yeah,
I remember that group Extreme
yeah,
because I was at, a music store in New York. It wasn't Sam Goody, it was yeah, let's talk about old music stores. There was just something, so HMV, like, it was just something so cathartic about being able to go to a music store and flip through the albums and okay,
loved it.
anyway.
I could be there for hours, you know.
And I know, and I remember the '80s was, like, the dawn of, like, the cassette. I think I still have some of my cassettes, but, that didn't
That's the
last long,
CDs.
but huh?
CDs were around like 86, 87.
Yeah, CDs
You
were
know?
starting to, come into
So
the picture, but I know in the '80s when I DJ'd, the company I worked for, in addition to having 2 turntables, we
mhm.
also had 2 cassette,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, decks, and a lot of the music was on cassette, so we weren't, like,
yeah,
necessarily beat matching, but for
yeah,
some of the weddings and stuff, it didn't matter, you
yeah,
know?
when I DJ'd, I also used a cassette,
Oh, you
deck
did
as
I
well.
didn't know you DJ'd.
It
Get
was
out of
here and
here.
there. I mean, it wasn't a ton, but, you know, I
Oh,
always,
that's
you
so
know, refer to
cool.
myself as Ed the Mid-80s DJ, and, you know,
Oh, that
Steven,
is
who usually is on
awesome.
the show, he actually helped me, with all the gigs, so we had a lot of fun doing it.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, 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 I still have
So
my, mixer.
oh, you know what? And like I said, I'm cleaning up my stuff and getting, ready to move, and actually in the back in the storage area, I have an old Radio Shack mixer. I know I used to work for a company called Sound Decision, so they've supplied most of the equipment,
Right.
but as I went out and did little things on my own, I started getting equipment and building up, and I still have my Radio Shack mixer,
Hey,
and I think one of my turntables, but I know it's probably in need of a needle, but it's just like,
yeah, and I
wow.
yeah, it's the first time I was, you know, when I got my first turntable for DJing, it was Techniques,
Mhm.
and when I needed to replace the needle, it wasn't called a needle, it was called a cartridge.
Ah,
So I had to
right.
find a cartridge for it. So, I still
Yeah,
have that too. Still a
and
great
yeah,
turntable.
gone are the days of, like, the 12-inch, 'cause
Oh,
the '80s were big
yeah,
for the 12 inches.
love my
Just had
12-inch collection. Mhm.
I had tons of well, I had tons of records. A lot of them got, damaged, water damage, with a flood in my home, and a lot of 'em I lost when I went to New York, and I wasn't DJing, and
Oh,
they got left behind, and
oh, no.
yeah,
I
I had
hate to
lost
hear
a
that.
lot of those, and now with vinyl making a comeback, I'm thinking, "Oh my goodness, I had just like tons of music. Even my like hooked on the classics. Da-na-na-na-da-da-da-da. I'm like,
Wow.
"Hey, are you kidding?" At some of those corporate
Yeah.
parties, that was a perfect thing to play.
I have some old, K-Tel records. If you remember
Oh
K-Tel, and they had all, like, the hits on it.
oh, yeah.
K-Tel.
Nice. But that was the great thing with the company I worked with. We would get, like, cassettes, like, every week with, like, with the hits or whatever,
Uh-huh.
especially for doing, like, the school parties and school
Right.
dances, which we all hated, and nobody really wanted to do them
Mhm.
because the private functions, you were more likely to get a, a decent tip as well as being paid better. Whereas the school dances, you would just
Yeah.
get bugged by kids the whole night, and
Yeah.
and half the time, what they would beg me to play? "Mony Mony" by Billy Idol, and I would play it and inevitably have to turn it off because they started making up their own lyrics
Yes.
and
Yes.
yelling them, and, next thing you know, principal's over looking at me like, "Sorry."
Kids will be kids.
And then it
So,
got to the point where, "Okay, we're not playing that. We're
right.
just not playing that."
Right. How old were the kids?
Oh, it was high schools, middle schools, so, it's like 14 to 18, just
Yeah, we did that kind.
just just enough to be annoying, so.
Yeah, I mean, those kind of shenanigans. We did that when we were younger too. So
And speaking of our diehard tie-in, the cool thing, we work for this company called Sound Decision. They did parties all in the Philadelphia, South Jersey area.
right.
One of, the DJs, Terry, I can't remember Terry's last name anyway, but he was one of the most experienced and probably better DJs. He got to play, a Grove high school reunion, and this was in the '80s, and guess who
No,
came back for the reunion? Of
no.
course, it was Bruce Willis, and he basically hung out with Terry, the DJ, all night because he just got sick of, the sycophants, the kids, people who ignored him all through high school now were
I
coming
want
up
to be
wanting
his
to be
friend.
his best friend and buddy, and he kinda was blowing them off and just spent his time hanging out, talking to the DJ and,
That's pretty cool. What an
playing.
experience for the DJ.
Oh, yeah, it's like, and that was one where you were like, "Oh, man." I'm like, I wish because I actually, went on a couple of gigs with him as, like, his tech person to help him, like, set up and
Yeah,
stuff. I'm like,
yeah,
"Man, that's the gig I would wanna be the tech
yeah.
on."
It figures, right? You're not there.
Yeah, definitely. Steve
Steve,
is in the house. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Steve, I
Glad
have
you're
to
here.
show you something.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if you remember this or not.
Y100?
Y100, Y100, local radio station. About 25 years ago, Steve and I, we were at a bar, Casey's out in Delaware County, and Y100 was there, and they were doing a promotion where if you wanted to get up and lip sync a song, they would videotape it for you, and they would put all sorts of graphics and stuff in it for you. It was pretty cool. So I was looking for mine. I had told my friend in work about it. I said, oh, I did one. So I'm like, I was going through all my videotapes, and I found this.
Oh,
And
wow.
I thought, oh, great. Now I can put it in and I can watch it. And I'm like, I put it in. Steve, this is yours. I have to give this to you. Steve did. You
Wait,
should. You
Steve,
should
if
meet.
you have one, it might be Ed's.
Oh yeah, maybe that's why. Okay, maybe we got them
Maybe they
mixed
got
up.
mixed up. Mm.
So Steve did. You shook me all night long, and I believe I did. I melt with you. So
Uh,
Steve, the next
wait,
time I
I
see
stop the
you,
world and melt with
you're
you?
getting this. So it's great stuff. And
Oh, that's
again, it
awesome.
was at least 25 years ago. So we were
Oh,
a lot
wow.
younger.
That's so cool. That's
Mhm.
so cool. Well, speaking of radio stations, just a reminder that Kathy and Kenny explain pop culture. This episode will be featured on Indie 101.5. And I believe you can pick that station up on the internet as well as it's broadcast in the Philadelphia area, as well as in Atlanta and Chicago. So, hi to our Atlanta, Chicago peeps. And we can be heard Tuesday nights, 6 to 7 on Indie
Oh, I did not. Oh,
101.5.
wow.
So
That's
yeah,
very cool.
that's the real deal.
Yeah.
OMG. Steve, what's gonna be the real OMG is when we convert that VHS tape to digital so that we can show uh a
I would
clip
never
of
do
it.
that to Steve.
Oh,
This
come
goes to
on!
Steve. I will do that to my tape and
Come
thoroughly
on.
embarrass myself. But I can't do
Also,
that to
hey,
Steve.
you know what, Steve, since you're listening, Audrey, if you're listening, and even, hey, Archer, if you guys in the description of this video at the very bottom, I linked an email address as well as a PO box, and you guys are come and hang out with us every Saturday night and show support. So we want to show you some support and love. I have, like I said, I'm cleaning up, packing up, decluttering, and about to move. I have a ton of pop culture kids shirts, and I'd love to send them to you. So please check that email, popculture@kathyandkenny.com. Send me your size, your address. I would love to send you guys out some shirts that is on me. So
All right,
if
very nice. Thank you.
you are, if you would let me know what size you need. If I have them left, I am going to ship them out. Now, am I doing it tomorrow? Probably not. Because, like I said, I got to get all my stuff packed up and I'm moving. So, but sometime before I get out of here, I will definitely do that. So, Audrey, hey, Archer, Steve, if you guys are on this call tonight, check out the link in the description. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Kathy and Kitty Explain Pop Culture. It's our new channel that we're going to start exclusively putting these live streams on. And also check us out on Indie 101. All right,
That
that's
is
it.
very
I'm done with the plugs.
very cool.
So if we can, let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on the Saturday night. So yeah, check the link in the description. Send me an email either to that pop culture email and just let me know your size, your address, and I will get those off and out to you in the mail. And they are the coolest. Let's see. I can tell from some of the people who have worn the pop culture. There you go. The pop culture kid shirt. Yeah, that's all I ask is that you just shoot me a picture with you in the shirt. That would be awesome and cool. So for the 80s, what else can we talk about for the 80s or before we wrap this puppy up?
Well, I know that isn't it National Women's Month?
Right, March. Oh, no, March was National
Oh, it's
Women's Month.
March. Okay,
It
it's
was
not
March.
April. Okay.
Not April. April, I don't know what goes down in April. Um,
So I looked up some of the top 80s female singers.
ah,
I forget where I got this from,
mhm,
so there's going to be no source provided, but some of them are, Madonna, Annie
of
Lennox,
course. Mm,
Kate Bush,
she's
Stevie
got a
Nicks.
beautiful voice.
Yeah, that's for sure. Diana Ross, Whitney Houston, Tina Turner, Olivia Newton-John, Gloria Estefan, Bonnie Tyler,
Ah,
Joan Jett. Now, I don't remember Celine Dion in the 80s. Do you?
I think she was more
Yeah,
90s.
me too. But
Yeah,
they
she
had her
seemed
on
more
this list.
90s.
Pat Benatar. I know we talked about Shaka
Avatar.
Khan
Mhm.
earlier. Cindy Lauper, Chrissy Hine, Belinda Carlisle, Sinead O'Connor, Janet Jackson, Aretha Franklin, Sade.
Woman who oh, Sade.
Sade,
Although
yeah.
I had a friend who, in college, I remember he would complain about Sade. She's like, "Oh, she only has 2 notes," and he would always be mocking
Oh,
her. I'm like, "I love some Sade. Get
oh,
out of here."
loved Smooth Operator. Oh my goodness. And I really like the voice of Anita Baker.
Ah, Anita
Sweet Love.
Baker.
Oh,
Sweet
Sweet
love.
Love. Also Donna Summer, Lita Ford, and Cher. And I
Ah,
also looked up again, thinking it was National Women's Month. Some of the best '80s actresses,
mhm.
and now I got this. This is easy. This is from the Internet Movie Database, so IMDb. They had Susan Sarandon, Sigourney Weaver, Kathleen Turner, Elizabeth Shue, Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheedy, Barbara Hershey, Kerry Green. I loved Kerry Green. Melanie Griffith, Jessica Lange, one of Kenny's favorites, Whoopi, Kate Capshaw, Holly Hunter, Michelle Pfeiffer, Jennifer Connelly,
Hi, go up there and give me one of those babies. I'm sorry.
Meryl Streep, Meg Ryan, Glenn Close, uh, Juliette Binoche. I don't really know her, but she was on the list. Jodie Foster, Kim Basinger, Elizabeth McGovern, Demi Moore, Kelly McGillis, Natasha Kaczynski, Amy Madigan, Nancy Allen, Sally Field, Goldie Hawn, Sean Young, Deborah Winger, Sissy Spacek, Linda Hamilton from Terminator, Daryl Hannah, Diane Lane, Judy Davis, and Andy McDowell, to name 37, if you will. So, I figured I'd throw that in there too.
Oh, that's a good list.
Yeah. Again, that's IMDb. So.
From the 80s, and actually probably more than half of those folks are still around today.
Oh yeah, I think so.
It's probably sad to know how many of them probably did, fall victim of some of the darker side of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Meaning that if they didn't sleep with the right person or do the right things, their careers kind of dried up. Although it is kind of nice to know that some of those actresses, like a Sally Fields,
Right.
are still able to perform and were
Yes.
able to make that transition from being either a child performer or a young adult performer,
Right.
clear on into, being, I guess you become more of a character actor as you get older, unfortunately. Yet men still that Harrison Ford gets to be Indiana Jones again. And what is he, like 80? Come on.
I don't know if I buy that. So,
But there's a new movie. I don't know when it's scheduled to come out, but there is going to be a new Raiders of the Lost Ark.
There was a poster in the theater today for it. So,
Wow.
yeah.
And you talk about, really milking a franchise.
Right.
I don't know. Although some things I think when they try to tamper with it, it's like, let's leave it alone. What was the most recent one was, oh god, what was the zombie movie, the comedy?
Zombieland?
Zombieland.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Zombieland, the first one, it was such a cute, perfect little movie, and then they had to try to do it again, and granted, you like those characters, I wouldn't mind seeing what happens to them, but yeah, by the second time out, you're like, "Oh,
I like
that's
the second one.
I don't
I like
know, I
it,
just
yeah, it was
I like it because I like those characters, and,
yeah.
I was happy to see them back, but I just story-wise, plot-wise, it didn't really go anywhere, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
it's
get
almost
you.
what they do with I think what they do with Star Wars, it's like we had 3 movies that were perfectly good and perfectly fine,
Oh,
and now we're, still trying to milk this cow, so
there's too
now
much.
we got all these variations and Mandalorians and Baby Yodas and
Yeah.
everything else, and it's
That
like you guys are
that's what
just
they're doing with The
milking.
Walking Dead. The
Oh,
Walking Dead, they have so many spin-offs now, it's too much.
yeah,
The Walking Dead should have ended 5 years ago, and that should be it. But
and
no, they wanna make money, more money,
money,
and
money,
that's cool,
and actually, the last season, I didn't even I think they had already lost me, and
Mhm.
I know production went down and everything with the pandemic, and
Right.
but even for the finale, and, I thought about going back, and I just by then, I think I had lost it with cable anyway, and I was all on streaming anyway, so
Did you make it at least through Rick? Like, did you see Rick up until when Rick left the show, or
I watched up until I think I watched up until he left, and I think
yeah,
after he left,
yeah,
I kinda checked out a little
yeah,
bit.
it really jumped the shark there. I mean,
See, that's
yeah,
it. Because I think and after he left, I think they time jumped too, so they went, like,
yeah,
into the future, and then there was no Maggie or whatever, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm out." And they were introducing the new people. You know what I did turn to and I did watch? I enjoyed the HBO zombie one, The Last of Us.
I
which
haven't watched it.
I didn't find out till afterwards. It's based on a video game. And
Yes, yes.
I'm like, "Whoa," and meanwhile, I'm like, I was I'm totally sucked in, and one of the reasons why too, because I think the early, everybody's all crazy about the Pedro guy, um, and the girl and the young actress, she was good as well, but Anna Trove of, Fringe, I think she was in the first couple episodes.
Okay.
And she is just, I think, a terrific actress. I don't know whether she gets enough credit, but I mean, if you watch those old Fringe episodes, she does some really spectacular work, including like a series of episodes, not one episode or two episodes, but I'm talking like 3 or 4 episodes. She actually played them as Leonard Nimoy in his character with the voice and that. It was just, it, you gotta watch it. You gotta if you
I have to give that a watch. I heard a lot of
y
good things about it. My
yeah,
sister was
if you
saying,
haven't watched Fringe now, again, you gotta get over the pilot episode because it has the standard, J.J. Abrams plane crash scene.
"Oh god."
So, it seems like he likes to put that in everything he does.
Let
And
me ask you this, did you like
Mhm.
Lost?
You know what? I did I started out with Lost,
Me too.
plane crash scene
Yep,
aside. I went in and I think I stayed for most of the 1st
yep,
season. And then they lost me.
me
I
too.
literally they lost
I
me
couldn't
at
follow
Lost
it.
'cause, yeah, it was like, "Okay, so I need some kind of resolution. I need to know what's going
Uh-huh.
on. Is this purgato what is it? What" eh, they kinda lost me. It didn't keep my interest. So,
No, I
yeah,
agree.
he did have me in the beginning, and I was kinda trying to follow along and stay with it, and even following, as they took you down everybody's little backstory and everything, I'm like, "Oh, wait, this is pretty interesting." But, yeah, it didn't go somewhere fast enough for me, so and I guess too, nowadays, that's something that the '80s gave us that we don't have now. Like, I know that was the start of, like cable and MTV and HBO and Prism and all the little channels that we used to have,
Prison.
but we also had, like, you had your core channels at least, like your, 3, 6, and 10,
Yep.
ABC, CBS, NBC, and it seems
29.
like, you know we will never get back the age of, like, must-see TV. Like, that's something that was part of the '80s. Like, I know NBC used to have, like, whole blocks of shows, like those comedies,
Remember
uh,
the
like
Cosbys, Family Ties, Cheers,
yeah,
Night
yeah.
Court? I used to watch that
And
every
especially when they did the crossovers where, a
Yeah,
tornado would hit or a storm would hit and affect all of the shows,
loved
but
it.
yeah, you have that, and there must be something to it because you notice how, the reboots and everything are always constantly coming back. The most, recent one has been Night Court, and Night Court was, I guess, more '90s than '80s, but a lot of
No,
that
it's
stuff, I
80s.
wouldn't be surprised. Was it '80s?
Oh, absolutely. I remember that on
Okay,
the Thursday night rotation. Yeah.
okay,
That
that
was
was a
again
part
right
of
after
the Thursday
Cheers.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to love me some Night Court,
Yeah, me too.
but that's making um, a return now. I have not watched it, but again, I I missed out on more than a few shows. I know there was one reboot of a show that I used to love. It was a '90s show, Mad About You, but I think it
Oh,
was
yeah.
only offered on one cable service, and it was one I didn't have.
Okay.
So, I wasn't able to watch that reboot for Mad About You, although I
Wasn't the
would've
reboot the same people? Wasn't it
yeah,
Helen
yeah.
Hunt and Paul Reiser?
Helen Hunt and Paul Reiser, because
Yeah.
it was his production company, which was called
Okay.
Nuance Productions, and I think that was, kind of a nod to his role in Diner because he had this little and it looked like an ad lib riff about the word nuance and how it doesn't look like it's spelled like it sound or
Uh-huh.
whatever, but anyway, uh
I gotta watch that.
I'm going off on yet another tangent, and we need to wind this thing down because, again, they're gonna cut us anyway. time slot on the radio show. It's only 45 minutes,
Oh,
but
it's only 45. Oh,
yeah, it's only
uh-oh.
45, but they have to cut it down because, you got to get your commercials in,
Of
and
course.
this is all commercial free. But Ed, thank you so much
Oh, my
for
pleasure.
joining me and also bringing in a little bit of the Die Hard experience, so we never we never lose that even without Kenny being here. I
There's John
appreciate
in
you
the
so much.
background. The police are getting ready to storm the building.
Uh-oh, it's about
Uh-oh.
to go down.
Can't be doing that. And there's the Asian guy who's in every, like, 80s film, the Huey Lewis
And every
guy.
80s movies. And that was Alan Rickman's, like, first major movie.
I think
I
it was one
didn't
of his biggest hits for sure.
Yeah,
You know.
his biggest hit, but his first movie, he was a British film stage actor, and this kinda introduced him to film, and, for the better 'cause, he had a pretty great career, between Die Hard, found his franchise, I guess, and, Harry Potter, and
Oh, Harry Potter, yeah. I've not
yeah.
seen any of those films.
I haven't seen Harry Potter either, so
I gotta
looks
get
like
on
we're both in for some pop culture card revocation. But anyway, as we land the plane, wind it down, once again, Ed, thank you so much for being here. Check out Ed's 80s page on Facebook and tap into that page so you can tap into some of the great music from the 80s. We always love having Ed on the show. I think you have been our most featured guest on the show. Steve, thank you so much. Don't forget to
Steve
check that
on.
link in the description and send me your information because we will get those shirts out to you. Kenny and I are going live every day in April. We're doing 6 pop culture facts at 6 in the morning. Believe it or not, it's helping us both get up out of bed and
Huh?
motivated. So check that out if you can. If you're not up at 6, check out the replay. We're here every Saturday night at 8:30. Kathy and Kenny explain pop culture. Once again, Ed, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
We
for
will
having me.
see you guys next week. Peace.
Thank you for geeking out with Kathy and Kenny on Kathy and Kenny Explain Pop Culture.